Good night, everyone. It's now 7:19 p.m. where I live, and we're going to deal with some very profound things about Batman v Superman you probably didn't know about. So we're going to get into that right now in this video. I hope you guys had a good and a fulfilling day. And we're about to begin this video, and we're about to get into it. All right. Nobody respects what I do here, so it happens. Let's just put it that way. As like I said, when you're living in a house with people, they don't respect what you do. They don't respect that your door is closed. They don't respect anything. And so I have these violations of all kinds of things that happen. I just have to be cool with it. All right, people. So I'm coming from the book of Luke, chapter 21. And I want to read this. This to me is a very important scripture I read today. And I had my ups and downs today. It was a tough day for me, but managed to end it on a really good note. So we're getting into it right now. Luke 21, we're going from 1 to 4. And he looked up and saw rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting in there 2 mites. A mite is less than a penny. Back in the day, a mite would be equivalent today to someone's salary, small salary, like maybe $2,000. So a mite may be $1,000, 2 mites may be $2,000. She basically throws in $2,000. And it says, Jesus said, "Of truth, I say to you," which means truly, "this poor widow has cast in more than all the rich people have. For the rich folks have cast out of the abundance of what they have. But she cast all of her living that she had." All her money. She took all her money, all her possessions, and threw it into the treasury of the church. See, what I want to tell you is a lot of us measure and we respect quantity over quality. Let me say it again. A lot of people measure and respect quantity. That little allegory is talking about you and me. See, quantity is what we respect. A man is very wealthy. He has a lot of cars. He has a lot of houses. We respect that guy. We think he's successful. But a poor guy who works hard, has very little, we don't respect that person as much. The people who have high standing in society, unfortunately, it's usually not based particularly on the actions that they do, but more so their standing in society is based on their status, what they have been able to achieve. Quantity over quality. I will pick any day a man who has a good heart inside of him over a very successful man, any day. I would want that man with a good heart working with me any day. I would want to be in the company of a man with a good heart any day than someone who has attained a lot, but they play it safe. See, what I've learned in life is a lot of people want to look good. They don't want to necessarily be good. And we're going to discuss that in a lot of detail in this video. You'll see what I'm talking about. To stand out as a sore thumb because you are being good, to be in the unpopular opinion, to be defending someone who needs defense, But everyone wants to play it safe. So everybody has hands off on that person. They don't want to look bad. So they hands off and they step away. Huh? They step away. They distance themselves. See, when you distance yourself, you're basically endorsing the fact that you're saying, I don't want nothing to do with this person. And sometimes it is actually a bad action. It's a sin. They call it the sin of omission, when good people do nothing to defend people because they feel if they defend people, they'll look bad. They're afraid to be in the unpopular opinion about things, even though they know morally, if you were to go into the unpopular opinion, you'd be doing the right thing. They're afraid to take that step. And so the widow, she gives everything she's got, not the surplus of what she's got, not the excess of what she's got. She gave everything she got. In other words, God was judging that widow on the qualities that she possessed and not the quantity of success that she had attained. That's why I talk about developing character. It is the best thing you could possibly do, folks. Character, qualities. And yes, we talk about people who are very successful be having quality. You know, they have quality or rituals or traditions in terms of eating, and they have the best clothing, and they present themselves very well. But I want to know not about the adorning of the garment, but the adorning of the heart. I don't care about appearances. I look at the genuine person, the authentic person inside. It is said, render not your garments, but your heart. And another way of rephrasing it is, render your heart and not your garments. That's what the Bible says. In short, be real, genuinely real from the inside out. And that widow was genuinely real. She gave all she had. And it's different when you go halfway versus you go all the way. For the religious folk out there, God, Allah, Vishnu, Krishna, whatever you call him, wants all of you, not some of you, not part of you. He wants all of you. And what does that mean? Because a lot of times we talk about God wants all of you. By the way, next door, my neighbors, if you hear anything, it's my neighbors. They're having a little wake right now for one of my deceased neighbors' children. So you may hear that in the background. And it's really cool. They're singing songs and stuff. It's really cool. But I wanted to say to you that when you are genuine within and without, that's not a halfway job. That's going all the way. I want to tell you something else. When God says he wants all of you, there's a reason. It's not God wants all of you. You know, a lot of religious people say it in such a way. It sounds like you're going into a draft or something. But God only and solely functions through an individual who's given to him through their actions. Your best way to honor God is actually in living his life through you or by you. How he would do things, you would do things. That's the ultimate honor. Think about it. The ultimate flattery is when people imitate other people. They start talking like them. They start walking like them. That's the ultimate flattery. That's when you really like a person. You really like their style. So you start to become like them. That's what God wants for us. That's what he wants. And you can't do it half-hash. Otherwise, you won't seem like the person you're imitating, right? You try to do a half-hash imitation, people are not going to take it on. But if you embody that person, you get people's attention, right? It's the same thing. So when we say God wants all of you, it means to have you behave as he behaves, to do things that he would do. You got it? It's really that simple. It's not something you can fake. You got to have it. You got to go all the way, baby. If you're an actor, you got to go all the way into the role, right? Well, same thing. Hang on a second, guys. I just want to see what you guys are saying in the chat section. DJ Lost and Found. My bro answering with the fresh cut. Looks good, bro. Thanks, man. DJ Lost and Found been away at a conference in the past few days. Back in action now. Cool, man. Cool, man. Shout out to you, DJ. You know I love you, man. Much love to you, bro. Now, I'm going to say that because what I'm going to talk about is some things that are pretty unpopular and some people who are pretty unpopular. Okay? So let me get into it. So once again, this woman, she gave everything she had from her heart. When you give things from your heart, it's different to pretending or even simulating something or even coming from head knowledge. It's different because you really desire it. You really want it. And that's different. See, that's when you're giving something from your heart. So that's why he said, render your heart, not your garments. You got to have a desire for it, right? Okay, let's get into what we're going to talk about now today. So I'm going to screen share right here. Poppity, pop, pop, pop. All right, cool. That's the previous video. You guys are watching. Same video, but it's just a little bit different. All right. Let me hide this. Boom. So in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, I want to point out something to you guys. I'm going to blow this up pretty big. Okay, it's pretty big there. It's clear enough. We're about to see. Climb all the way up here. Okay. So this is Batman v Superman. And if you look in Batman v Superman, you see Lex Luthor wearing a jersey. There's a monkey on it, and he's jumping in to press a dynamite. I was curious about that. Not only symbolically, Lex Luthor seemed like a clown in Batman v Superman, and he seemed like the guy that triggered the dynamite, but more so I was interested in where did this picture come from. So I ended up stumbling on this here, which is TeePublic. And TeePublic was selling these shirts from Batman v Superman, and it's called Monkey Detonator. So the monkey jumps on the detonator to blow everything up. And it's Batman v Superman t-shirt. And then it said Banksy t-shirt designed by DAAM Mink. Banksy t-shirt. And it says it's a great t-shirt worn by Lex Luthor, or Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman. And I said to myself, okay, so I found the actual t-shirt. Then I asked myself, who is Banksy? Who is Banksy? And I started to find out the insight in who Banksy is. And this insight is interesting. So here is a shot of Banksy's webpage, his website here. Okay. He doesn't have his name on the website. And then he got these animals, these rats and stuff. And this rat, in this case, he has here a Sharpie on his dick. And this Sharpie has XXX, and he's covered his face like a bandana. And he seems to be a bad boy who has cut things. Okay. And Banksy is actually a guerrilla graffiti artist. Here is an elephant carrying what looks like a warhead on it. Very interesting, the depiction. And I thought, you know, Zack Snyder's an iconographer as well. He had studied art and stuff. And it was interesting that he would hint to this particular graphic artist, this graffiti artist, Banksy, who is he's sort of a anonymous graphic artist that goes all around the world. I'm sorry, graffiti artist goes all around the world doing graffiti art. And he doesn't care, you know, about doing with expenses. He does it for free, etc. And pretty much it's interesting who he is. He's an anarchist. So Banksy's an anarchist. And let me give you an example. This here, Dismaland. Dismaland is like a sort of parody on Disneyland. and it says, "I am an imbecile." And basically, Bansky makes some very controversial political statements. Everything is political with Bansky to a high degree, and he does art to change the world. He really and a lot of these underground graffiti artists, and you know, graffiti is illegal around the world. It's illegal to do graffiti, but there were a lot of he can emerge from one of the many graffiti artists from different parts. And a lot of graffiti artists, they speak against the system, they speak against the establishment. Now what's funny about that is, but it's about enlightening. It's not just against the system or against the establishment exactly, but showing the ridiculousness in the establishment, the ridiculousness in the system, how we are all sort of slaves to the system and we don't question certain things, and these people do. And what's interesting is, you know, when you look at the Matrix, for example, all of these guys come from the same background. Bansky, all these guys, they have studied and they realize how much you know, how much lies there are out there being sold to people. So Bansky actually had Dismaland that was in operation until 2015, when I guess pressure by Disney and all these guys, they got England to close it down. But it's very enlightening. I'll show you some of the stuff that Bansky did on his website, but you can always go and read up more about this artist. Okay. And Zack Snyder is a guy, man. I can understand why Hollywood doesn't like him. I can tell you why they don't like him. He says he puts some very fearless things inside of there. So Bansky, Lex Luthor is wearing a Bansky t-shirt. Now, the elitists, they buy Bansky stuff and they like it out of flattery, you know, the cleverness of it and stuff. But if you look at Bansky's work, it's saying something. And, you know, the millennials, they'll buy up his stuff, they'll buy up his turd, and his stuff has become very expensive. Even though he's a guy that does things at large and he's never really revealed who he is, they have even had illegal art galleries in some very great places like New York and England and so on. But it's just interesting how people buy up his work, right? Now, I put the link of his work down below here, bansky.cu.uk. You can go ahead and check out that website to find out more about him. I'm going to kind of show you around it a little bit so you can see just how far this guy goes. And he literally uses his art to make statements about things, and he's a humanist more than anything else. Okay, but before I do that, I just want to show you something from Cruel and Unusual Films. Okay, because Zack Snyder is a pretty fearless guy. All right, Cruel and Unusual Films is a film production company headed by co-presidents, producers Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder, along with producer Wesley Kohler. A destination for fresh and unique material, Cruel and Unusual maintains a mandate of taking on projects that are unique and sometimes outside the box. Very important, outside the box. Basing its approach to filmmaking not on being derivative, but rather innovative in every way. And you know, Zack Snyder is a very opinionated sort of director. And guess what? Bansky's very opinionated himself. So it should be very interesting. The company's recent releases include this year's blockbuster 300 Rise of the Empire, last summer's Superman movie Man of Steel, and so on and so on and so on. Let's see here. Let's see here. Maybe I've already done the about. But suffice it to say, somewhere it talks about Zack Snyder being bold enough to actually step into some really tricky territory. And I was not able to find that yet. Now let me show you what Bansky does so you can get an idea of what he does. So here's some of his stuff. This is some stuff on the outside, okay? Yeah, okay. So this is he went and he sort of almost made a billboard sign somewhere. This is another one where you see, you're looking at, this is in Palestine. So a woman wearing a red stuff. This is two rats. He likes to use animals a lot in his stuff. The rats are going to visit the Eiffel Tower. Sometimes the rats mean poor people. Okay, here's this guy. He's giving the dog the bone to kill it, to cut off its head. And you will see what this is in a minute. So there you go, mice. It says 196. This little boy here putting on flowers to block out the you know, the racism. This is in a black neighborhood. He put that up. He also he does a lot of commentary on things. Now this is him again. He came, he did this. Again, nobody knows who he is really. Okay, if you look up here, you see CAPD. So I'm just showing you some of his works, but there are some, I like this. This one's really good. You'll see what I'm talking about just now. Here it is. A girl was sentenced for 2 years, 9 months, and 22 days in jail for painting this picture above here. She got caught. You can see she's using a pencil here. She's still behind bars. All right, and this one has to do with someone from Southeast Turkey who was put into prison for talking, and she had a communications ban. And so she was inspired that Banksy actually did something, an article on her. Okay, so Banksy does, like I said before, a lot of pop culture, um, a lot of current stuff. This is a rat running against time. That's how most people feel. I love this. This is a guy moving in to do new housing and displacing families. Isn't that interesting? There you go. Development site available. And he comments on that. This is very interesting as well. You loot, we shoot. This is when they protested the drawbridge being raised. Here is basically the police. Destruction of people. I think this has something to do with UN. And this is all graffiti, by the way. Some people protesting. Smoke bombed person. France. People getting smoke bombed out. The police and stuff. I guess it has to do with refugees again. This is very interesting. This is refugees again, trying to get a place. He's saying that Steve Jobs stole from the people. He looks like a bandit there. See, there he is there, moving between the people, and it looks like he's a thief. And this is another one. Go back to Africa, migrants not welcome. See, he speaks political statements. Here he is again, talking about refugees. Portrait and peeping at a girl. Nothingness. Something was there, it's gone. This is the state, Big Brother, monitoring all conversations of people. This is people becoming impersonal. He's showing the life coming out of graffiti and discussing life. I love it, man. I love it. See, they say graffiti is a crime, but you can make statements with graffiti. Graffiti is a language. What we do in life echoes in eternity. You can see the guy erasing it. This guy, his flowers are falling. Because this is, of course, a strip club. The irony. These horses have night vision goggles. This is really deep, I find. This archway, he's going to add something to the archway. There it is. Very creative, very beautiful. This dog is barking at people. He moves the an actual flag into the picture. No ball games, pretty cool. They're playing now with the no ball game sign. Got this plane here, and it's etching out love. So cool. Instead of having parking, he erased the parking and put park. This guy, in order to examine a flower, he destroys it. There's so many people who do that. This is in tribute to another graffiti artist, another soldier. Here he's showing people removing the history of people. So cool. This is an Israel-Palestine border. See this little girl with moving up. I love this. This kid is shooting out flowers. Sorry, the lifestyle you ordered is currently out of stock. It's like an assembly line. This looks a bit like an elephant. So he graffitis everywhere. You know what I mean? Here he is with ostriches. One has his head in the sand, and the other one, oh, you can't see that. I'm sorry about that. This one's saying what? He's putting the graffiti down. What again in front of a car sales, Piju sales store. Laugh now, but one day I'll be in charge. I love that. I love that. It's beautiful. Always a statement. This is where you're losing your home. Graffiti removal hotline. I love this. This little girl draws her home, and this guy closes down on it. Follow your dreams, canceled. I love that. I love that. See, he's telling people to wake up. The robot is controlling the human. This is about Tesco. Person's in jail. This guy's adding these things. Peace plus love. He's checking the heart of love. See if everything's okay. You concrete me. You complete me. You concrete me. And he comes and adds in this, which is like a woman in a bikini down below, or not. And we have here. This will look nice when it's framed. That is really interesting. You know, here he is, and people are looking at him, Bansky. No trespassing. This is a Native American. And yet they have. Love this. Getting rid of the fire hydrant. This is where she takes out the zebra strikes and put it up on this thing here. It's very interesting. This woman's trying to hide dirt and stuff, which I thought was pretty funny. You know, people like to cover up and stuff. Here's the rat, and this woman's afraid. Little girl's afraid of the rat. Little boy riding what looks like a bull. It's really so cool. Just playing around a little bit. He says, "Take that to the car," which I thought was funny. What are you looking at? Because we all know that there are CCM cameras and so many other things going on now, right? The joy of not being sold anything. That's really cool. He's saying the empty sign, you know, I don't believe in global warming. So he doesn't believe in global warming, which is all right. It's cool. It's opinionated. Look at this. How he takes the road. And this here is really interesting. Guy here having an affair, and the other guy is out the window. No future. System, smash, police. One original thought is worth 1,000 mindless quotings. Diogenes. It's true. I love you, but time is running out. If graffiti changed anything, it would be illegal. That's interesting. He looks at the building and calls it boring. He takes these wrecks and makes a Egyptian sphinx with it. changes the telephone booth here. This one here is also the step toys being persecuted. These animals are being persecuted as if they're in a jail. The rat is about to reply. Warning, anti-climb paint, and they're climbing on it. A rat watching 3D stuff. A rat going to work. This looks like a hamster or a guinea pig. This is a guinea pig. You understand? Saying that we are guinea pigs. Here's a rat cutting a hole into the ground. Rats going into this place here. Rats about to wage warfare. This is in Palestine, I believe. If we wash our hands, the conflict between the powerful and the powerless, we side with the powerful. We don't remain neutral. You remember in BVS, they were talking about no one is neutral. If we wash our hands of the conflict between the powerful and the powerless. Hold on a second. We side with the powerful. We don't remain neutral. This is what he's saying. And this is concerning Palestine, as he was down there. Very good. Let me show you some more of what Bansky has done. So he's talking about war here. Just past that. That was pretty fast. So here's some commentary on war, royalty. Oh, the condition of people's hearts and the world. We saw this one already. This is a ballerina on a tightrope. Protect from all elements. This is the rich using their riches to wage war. You know, certain countries like to fight all the time, military complex. Here again, the wealthy and the rich, and they have bombs. This is Jesus bearing gifts. Christmas seems to be all about that. Here are all little graffiti people, and they're getting into heaven. Here's a graffiti person hurling flowers. So that was pretty cool. Instead of worshiping Jesus Christ, they worship business. Sale ends today. Tesco again. The allegiance to Tesco, which is a corrupt business. Here they are protecting again capitalist interest. Luxury love complex. Everyone's dead. Instead of helping this little child, they're photographing him, preventing people from assisting and helping and filming this disaster, which when help is necessary. I can't believe you morons actually buy this shit, which is funny because this is about people rich again and wealthy always trying to capture things. This guy, he's printing an ejaculation here, calling that nonsense art. Here it is again. Notice he's speaking about, again, the poor, the helpless, and they're erecting the flag. And this is actually from a classical painting, actually, that's modernized. This brother is thinking of paradise, and so he tries about it. Here, this is an elephant, and this elephant in this room is speaking against poverty. If you look in the room specifically, you see Queen Victoria, you see some other notable people in here. This is an interesting classical painting in which they have, you've got a car with graffiti all over it in the middle of that picture. And here it is again with some more graffiti all over these classical painting stuff. Here in this classical painting again, you have, and literally this is a classical work that he took, and he said, okay, just imagine the true adaptation of that work would have CC cameras monitoring every movement of the people in the land, which I thought was very interesting again. He's talking about the Big Brother, the 1984, George Orwell effect. And then here again, let's just go back here. You see, we're appearing for witnesses. Can you help us? Incident. Hold on a second. Were you in the area between 2 to 3 a.m. on Friday, the 24th of September? If so, contact the police station on the number shown below. That's the number. Did you see or hear anything? Please call us. And here's another classical painting where he throws a pie at the guy. A dead plant, which is another classical painting. He just kind of did the derivative of that. Hold on a second. What the heck? Hold on a second. Oh, there it is. So here's the classical painting that was done. And then he goes and he adds this, a Nazi watching it. And it's interesting. If you think about it, Nazis wanted a perfect utopian world, but it's just how they went about trying to get it. That's crazy. This here is a, if you look at this carefully and do pay attention, this is not a real horse. Or it may be a horse dressed up, sorry. A horse dressed up in I don't know what. And here is the guard on the horse. So the horse looks like a clown. And this is a woman, is an Islamic woman. She's wearing on the outside this sort of whore-like stuff, but you will notice it's really just a outer costume thing. It's not her actual self, and she's actually wearing her hijab on underneath it, which is very interesting. This here is talking about the piñata. This is actually has to do with police brutality and how police see people, particularly minorities. Here are these police running together happily with flowers and stuff. And his commentary here is that maybe they're in their heyday. I don't know. I have no idea what this is about. And here are these people, they're enjoying themselves, and the poor and oppressed have to carry them. And they don't care about them. Again, the jail system. Using a sort of Animal Farm equivalent. Copyright. He's saying screw copyright here by smashing it. She smashes it right there. He's saying screw copyright. And here, this is the train that could do it, and they're graffitiing the train while it's sleeping. Here, they're asking people to applaud war. So his graffiti is all about war here. And they're going to war. And they're saying, oh, come on, people, ray that. Conditioning people to do so. This is even more interesting. This is about art. And here are all these ballerinas here. And this guy is watching it like, what? And everybody else is like, no, do it this way and that way and blah, blah, blah. The bad artists imitate the great artists steal. Pablo Picasso, Bansky. So he stole Pablo Picasso's statement. This is interesting as well. He's a very, very talented artist, no doubt about it, but he uses that graffiti. So here, notice this little boy here, he's taking care of this guy's shoe. And again, classism is what he's pointing out here. Here, this was a guy who was a Catholic head of something, I don't know. And anyway, bloods out the guy's face. Here is this lion holding a bloodied whip. It's probably the British system. Oh no, he's destroyed the magician. I now realize he killed the magician. Oh no, he killed the trainer. That's what's up. This is the Pope, and he's he's dressed up as a bishop or a archdiocese who is dressed up as one of those porn guys. And here is, I don't know what this is exactly. This guy's strapped up with a lot of ammunitions. He has something across his head. Here's a sign, a broken up bike. So, yeah. And this is him here. He had an interview with someone. This is Bansky. And this is the Waldorf Hotel. The Waldorf Hotel is a place in actually Palestine, near to the Gaza Strip, the wall that blocks off Israel to Gaza, and they've done all their art there. So there's some art there that you could go see. And then we have the theme park, which is no more. And it's really interesting, Dismaland. And you can see the Walt Disney background there. And the police, of course, they are always directing that stuff. And you got the theme parks and stuff. You see Dead Snow White. And the people who go to the Dismaland, they're imbeciles because they just go for empty entertainment. It's pretty much what they're saying there. And the poor people, they are exiled from Dismaland. And you can go and watch explosions and stuff like that. Like the flowers. And you see, it's because it says, ha ha, you. It's pretty much gulping up your money. It's all about business and capitalism. At the end of the day, that's what he's basically saying. Remember, as far as anyone knows, we're a nice, normal family, and he's going against the irony that a lot of the squeaky clean look that Disney has, a lot of the actors and so on have done some really terrible things, and a lot of people who work for Disney do a lot of atrocious things, and it's just that people get it covered up. I found that very interesting. I have no fucking idea what the hell I'm doing in this world. That's part of Dismaland. Mini golf. Pocket money loans. Welcome to Super Whip. And it kind of basically talking about also all the different franchises that Disney owns. Which is very interesting to me. Heel Perfection, Coca-Cola, served here. Real Perfection, Coca-Cola, served here. Winning is strictly prohibited. The mark of a civilized society is how it treats its most vulnerable members, which is very true. He literally has these things. Again, all these brand names, all these brands and brand names, commercializing something. Right? I wanted to show you this because I think when you see what Bansky does and how on the edge he is, and there's a lot more stuff concerning Bansky, and you guys can go ahead and read up on him in Wikipedia or wherever you want to. But the important thing about Bansky that I think is what I would like to share with you guys is the fact that he gives it his all, and he's not about saying something popular or politically correct. It's all about, and not to say that he isn't politically correct, he's politically correct, but it is that Bansky steps out and speaks about the truth of things and defends the powerless and helpless, okay, wherever they may be. And he's an anonymous graffiti artist, sure, but at the same time, and he does make money through different establishments, but at the end of the day, he uses the art to speak out on things. And it's very interesting that Zack Snyder would use Bansky in his, and have Lex Luthor be aware of Bansky. Even though Lex Luthor, even though he's aware of Bansky, he probably looks at him from an elitist point of view and not from a point of view of someone representing people. All right, so I thought this was very interesting for people to know. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is something that Lex Luthor said, actually, when he was talking to Senator Finch and Senator Barrows. And that was, he was talking about kryptonite and how they had found a sizable amount of kryptonite and they would like to weaponize it as a deterrent against the Kryptonians. And I just wanted to show you how this takes an additional turn when you include Metallo, right? So I just have Lex Luthor here in the presence of Dr. Emmett Vale, who's the guy that actually created Metallo. And this additional meaning is very simple. A weaponized deterrent. Now, Metallo, if he's powered by kryptonite, okay, if he's powered by kryptonite, he is also a weaponized deterrent. You see what I'm saying? Metallo in the comics was created by Dr. Emmett Vale and was a cyborg with a kryptonite power source used as a weapon against Superman. And so you can see how this additional means that Lex Luthor would have had up his sleeve. I'm not saying you get rid of Batman going against Superman. No. You still have it. But you have Metallo also as a backup. Maybe even more Metallo than Doomsday. Because Metallo would actually, Lex Luthor would actually need the kryptonite to use it for Metallo. So I was thinking that how the story could have been modified was Dr. Emmett Vale actually brings back this character here, which is Wallace Vernon Keith. Now, Metallo has been a number of different characters, okay? They've had him as, you guys know Metallo from the comics, by a number of different characters. But at the end of the day, they were going to use Wallace Vernon Keith as Metallo. And it would have been interesting, especially if Wallace Vernon Keith had been exploded, because Metallo always came after one of the characters got in a serious accident and was just smashed into pieces. So it would have been nice if Wallace Vernon Keith, he'd get blown up in an explosion, and yet somehow they were able to salvage his parts, and Emmett Vale was able to make Metallo out of him. That would have been really cool. Now, here's the thing. Lex Luthor still would have had the kryptonite. Batman would have stole some of the kryptonite, and the remaining portion of the kryptonite would have been used to make Metallo. So Lex Luthor would have Metallo at his disposal. He would have also had Doomsday at his disposal, and he would have also had Batman at his disposal. Three-prong attack. But we were robbed of that because Warner Brothers and Jeff Johns got involved. Okay? And so what, you know, Zack Snyder has all these great ideas. I would have loved to see Metallo in the mix, really honestly speaking. And so I just wanted to talk to you guys about that, you know, the further weaponizing of kryptonite could have been in the form of further weaponizing Metallo, you know. And this is another very important question I would love to ask, because they also showed Brainiac, if you do guys remember. At the end of Batman v Superman, they had the site LexCorp, where they were alluding to Brainiac coming into being. And so the follow-up could have had Brainiac in it. Justice League could have had Brainiac in there, or a hint to Brainiac at least. So it's just interesting how Warner Brothers just keeps on sort of shooting themselves in the foot, like I keep on saying. That we could have had Metallo inside of Batman v Superman. We didn't have it, but I believe that, again, the studio keeps on questioning Zack Snyder's every move. You know, we don't need that. We don't need Metallo. We don't need this. We don't need that. You know how stupid these things can be, and egged on by Jeff Johns possibly. And so I'm just assuming. I don't know. But at the end of the day, not only did they shorten up Batman v Superman and have Zack Snyder pull out things from it, but now they shorten up Justice League and had Zack Snyder pull out things from that too. And again, I cannot emphasize, when you don't have a good character, you don't have a good core, solid qualities, you don't give yourself over to doing good. You do what these stupid people do. Because you have no idea what comic book movies are about and how comic book movies, especially comic book fans, how it would appeal to them and really make them feel at home. That finally there's a comic book movie made for me, not just for everybody, but for me as in particular, that I can enjoy these comic book movies more. So they shot themselves in the foot. Can I say they shot themselves in the foot, in my opinion? And Batman v Superman, they chopped that thing down. Now they did the same thing to Justice League. I'm going to ask you guys again, how many times do they have to chop up a film and have to destroy a film because they don't think it's marvelized enough for you guys to realize that these people are hell-bent on going that direction and robbing not only the fans, but the directors of their creativity and their authenticity and giving their all, not giving some, but as we were saying in the scripture, giving your all. How many times do these people have to do that? Now they've gotten rid of Zack Snyder. They're happy, right? Because Zack Snyder makes controversial films as far as they're concerned. Not understanding the depth which Zack Snyder has. I just showed you guys Bansky. I just showed you guys if Metallo was on that scene, just imagine how much more, even more fantastic Batman v Superman would have been. But thanks to a studio that does not get it, Zack Snyder has to keep on pitching over and over and over again why this would make the movie great. They cut down his movie because of a stupid thing like runtime, because they think they'll make more money if they have repeat viewings in the cinema. No, good films make more money. And these executives time and time again get it wrong. So you expect them to get it right now with Aquaman? Not if James Wan is not allowed to do what he wants to do. Let the director pour their heart and soul into the film. And you can do how many screenings you like. At the end of the day, you have to step back and trust your directors. Anyway, let's see what you guys have to say in the comment section. All right. So I'm coming out of this. All right, so let's hear what you guys have to say on this topic here. So I talked to you guys a little bit about Bansky, which I thought was really cool. You guys should really look up more into Bansky. He's a really cool graffiti artist. There are many different guerrilla graffiti artists. Guerrilla graffiti meaning you're not going to find them. You're not going to see them. You're not going to spot them. And they have their little exhibitions, in an interesting way, because you don't necessarily see Bansky when he's doing his exhibition. So it's really cool. And I like that Zack Snyder actually did a nod to him. But the question I want to ask you fellas, you people, is look how much effort and how much details I put in these films. Don't you want more films like that? At least where the directors at least have a nice, unique, creative slant. I remember Zack Snyder saying that, that films done by committee is a travesty to film. You want the director to do the film, and you have to trust that director to do it. Because once the committees get in there and they have their ideas, it squashes your film down to crap. And the creativity that was in that film is destroyed. And I say it again and again. Films done by committee, maybe MCU can do that, but I don't like the MCU. But films done by committee never work out well as they could be. Zack Snyder's film, Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Cut, is superior to the theatrical cut, even though I got what the theatrical cut was saying. And I liked its avant-garde kind of schizophrenic kind of feel. And it goes for every single film. If you want the best possible film, you have to trust your director. You got to back your director. You got to support your director. And that's what we need to see in film much more often. But Zack Snyder gave us some beautiful work, and I just wanted to say that. If you guys have no more comments to make, I am going to be getting out of here. I'm going to look at the comment section one more time, see what you guys have to say. And there is nothing there, so I will be out, guys. I hope you guys have a great day, a great evening, a great night. Catch you guys later. Peace.